Okay, so an example of somebody who was stuck in problem solving, and kind of mired in the difficulties of always facing problems and always feeling bad because the problems made her feel bad, was a woman who came to me when I ran a coaching program in just outside of Toronto a number of years ago. She just had a bout with meningitis. She was probably still in the middle of a mild nervous breakdown, depression, and she had quit her job in a very stressful job, and she didn't know what to do. She thought maybe she'd like to be a coach, but she really didn't know what to do. And she had problems with her husband, problems with her children. Her whole life rotated around a series of problems that she would spend some time with one and the others would get worse, so then she'd move over to not fix one of the ones that was worse and the other two would get worse, and she'd kind of go around in this circle. And she came and took a workshop, a 3.5 day workshop, and then she signed up for coaching, and she started to get a sense that there was another option, that there was a structured way to organize and envision and bring into being the things that she wanted. And over the last 10 years, she started working with me for about 10 years. Within about 2 or 3 years, she had created a coaching practice. It wasn't a great money maker for her, but it was a small kind of step in the right direction. And she belonged to a group of ex-human resources consultants who'd become coaches, and they had a support group, and they considered her to be Little Linda, they called her. And she was the only woman out of 7 or 8 people in the group, because she was making $15, $20 an hour working for, doing some coaching counseling for an employee assistant program, or out of Alberta, although she was in Toronto. But as she continued to work with the creating process and created stability in her family life, expanded her coaching practice, one of the things that happens in the creative process, as a lot of people know, is that serendipitous events happen. Often they're coincidental events, but they wouldn't happen if you hadn't taken the action to provoke them. And she happened to do some work with coaching work with a fellow who was the head of human resources for a Fortune 500 company in the United States. And he began to hire her to work with his key people, and has now worked, she's kind of specialized. She's discovered an area that she really likes to work with, that she's really good to, and so she's created a coaching practice that revolves around coaching family-owned dealerships, where the father and the brothers or the mother and the sisters own this thing, and then she helps coach them individually and as a team. And now when she goes back to meet with the guys in the support group and tells them that you're still making $15 an hour, Linda? She says, no, I make $1,500 per coaching program, which takes me about 2-3 months. And also I make $15,000 every time I go out and work with one of these family-based dealerships. So she has really embraced the creating process, and she's found that what happens is that things come a lot easier in creating, because you are focused on what you want, focused on what you have, seeing the relationship between those two things, and then taking action that will move you from where you are to where you want to be. And you just repeat that process over and over and over. One thing that many people don't know or don't recognize about creating is much of it is mechanical. There's the mechanics of creating. If you don't have the mechanics, you can go and throw paint at canvases, you can wander around with cameras. You can write endless journals. If you don't understand the mechanics of creating and the structure of creating, you're going to be kind of like the proverbial monkeys on the typewriters. Maybe you'll write a great novel, maybe you'll make a great film, but chances are you won't. But when you understand the process, when you understand the structure, just like if you understand the structure of how the film process works, how the digital photography works, it's much easier to create films. Mm-hmm. And so basically that's what I help people do is grasp the difference between the structure of creating, the structure of problem solving, know when to use which, and apply it to the kinds of things that matter most deeply to them.